Enjoy this fun interview from the cutting room floor, which is a new batch of exclusive podcast interviews for our loyal newsletter subscribers. Today, I'm joined by Maris Valainis, who is famously known for playing Jimmy Chitwood in the 1986 film Hoosiers.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I think it sounds pretty good. How are you, by the way?
I'm doing well. How are you?
How's your golf game?
I don't know. I haven't played since October.
Really?
Yeah, just things come up, and I hit balls every now and then, but that's about it.
And where are you living?
I'm in Indiana right now.
Oh, I thought, well, you have a L.A. or a California area code there, so I didn't know. Why are you in Indiana?
I just came back here after years. I was in California for 30 years and just wanted to make the move back here. So I've been here for probably 5 years now.
Oh, no kidding. And what are you doing?
Yeah, so I work for a renewable energy company. We construct wind farms, basically.
Did you capitalize on your Hollywood looks and your acting?
I don't know. Actually, the guy that ended up hiring me was a big fan of the movie, and he had done a presentation based on the movie. I never saw the presentation. He had actually done that, and so he was a big fan. So every once in a while, people will say something to me about it, but that's about it. It's been so long. I mean, I don't understand how people still recognize me. You know what I mean?
Well, you look so boyish back then, and you probably just add some gray hair and a couple of lines to your face, but you still look the same.
I guess, but I mean, still, what's the amazing thing is that people that are in their 20s and 30s recognize me, and that means their fathers are showing it to them or whatever.
Yeah, that's it. Now, so I'm going to talk about a couple of scenes here, just to let you know. One is the basketball one out in the dirt. The other one, obviously, the final play in the huddle. And then if we get to it, maybe the scene where they want to run Gene Hackman out of town, and then you go to the town hall. So,
okay.
And if anything comes up, that you don't remember, I can edit all that out. If there's something that you don't remember.
Oh, there'll be some things that I don't remember.
Well, then it'll be up to me then to remember them for you.
What's funny is whenever I get together with the other guys, that's when I start remembering things, because they'll say something that'll trigger a memory, and then it all starts to come back. But when you don't talk about it for a while, it kind of fades away.
Did you have more acting or basketball experience going into that movie?
Oh, definitely basketball. I mean, when I say that, but the thing is, I never played organized basketball from high school on, so only in grade school.
But if we look at your shot, how are you not on the high school team?
Well, I think it mostly had to do with I like to shoot, and I didn't play defense.
Yeah, I'm guilty of the same traits, but I did play high school wanting to shoot and not play any defense there.
Yeah.
Take me on.
What's funny is, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, what's funny is, so I went out for my high school team, and I can't remember if I definitely went out my freshman, sophomore, junior year, but I can't remember if I went out my senior year. I think I did. But so I basically got cut every single year. But when we're shooting that final scene at Hinkle, in order to get more people in the stands, guess what high school team they picked to play there?
Your high school.
Old high school.
Oh, boy.
and the same coach.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, how good was your team if you weren't good enough to make it?
We were a Catholic high school, so it's not like they recruited, but he kind of had his people already in mind. You know what I mean? So, I mean, we were never that good. I mean, our football team was what we're known for. I think they've won 15 state championships over the years since I graduated. But basketball-wise, we've never been that great. So maybe they won sectional one year, but beyond that, nothing else.
Yeah, but doesn't that make it even worse that you couldn't make a team that wasn't good?
Yeah, kind of does. Thanks for pointing that
out. You first get the script. Take me to the audition. Like, what did you do that made you stand out for the role of Jimmy Chitwood?
Well, we had heard on the news that they were coming to Indiana to try to cast basketball players. So it was on the news all the week before. And then the casting was on a Monday and a Tuesday. But you had to go downtown and try to audition. So that Monday, there was no way I'm going down there because I just knew there would be a ton of people down there. So on Monday nights, I used to always go play pickup games at a local church. And the casting director happened to be there that Monday night. So he saw me playing, and he was with a bunch of other people, saw me playing, and asked me to come down the next day. So I go down there the next day thinking, they've told a whole bunch of people to come down here the next day. So I walk into the gym, and this is IUPUI, which is a local college here in Indianapolis. And there's easily 500 people in line. So I stand there and I go, I am not going to wait in line for 4 hours to try to get in and audition for this thing. And I'm literally about to turn around and walk around. I'm standing near the front of the line because the gym doors are there and everybody's going way back down the hallway. And the casting director walks out and sees me, and he pulls me in ahead of all those other people. So I was very fortunate because I was about to leave, literally about to leave, because it was going to take hours and hours and hours.
But what did you do then to convince them that you were Jimmy Chitwood?
At that point, all we had to do is dribble up and down the court and shoot some baskets, and that's it. And then they said, okay, come back tomorrow and read. So did the same thing, went back there, and you got to pick from some sides that were sitting on a table. And I picked, actually, I ended up picking Everett, Dennis Hopper's son characters, lines. So I picked those sides. And here's another lucky thing that happened. So the guy before me goes in, and the news crew goes in with him. And so he had to read in front of the local news doing his audition.
Ooh.
And if I had to do that, probably never would have gotten the part because I would have been way too nervous.
How much acting experience did you have?
I had none. Zero. Literally zero. And so I went in and I read, and then I think I read one more time after that. And the casting director, this is what he said to me. I don't know if it was true or not, but he said, you have a part in the movie. So just sit tight, and we're going to start trying to whittle down all these other people. So I literally sat around for like a month and a half wondering what was going on. And then finally they called me back in, and there was I think eight of us, 8 or 9 of us, and I think they got rid of one more person. And that was it.
But then so then you see the script. What do you think when you see the script? And when did you were you going to be cast as Jimmy Chitwood, or did they have to figure that out?
At that point, I had no idea. All he said to me was, you have a part in the movie.
Okay.
And then I think they gave me a script at that point also, just to look at it. And I was looking through it. I knew they made the decision to keep our lines pretty simple, so as not to put too much pressure on us. And basically they just wanted us to play basketball and read a few lines, and just kind of get into your character. So, yeah, I had no idea that they were going to cast me as Jimmy Chitwood.
And then you realize Gene Hackman's in this, Barbara Hershey. Like, these are heavyweights in there.
Yeah. So when they finally whittled it down, Gene Hackman was nice enough. About a month before shooting started, he came into town, and for a solid week, every single day for at least a couple hours a day, he actually gave us acting lessons and gave us his insight on how he did certain scenes in certain movies, and it was pretty amazing. I mean, you're sitting there in a room with Gene Hackman, and he's giving you acting lessons.
And then you first major scene, you don't have a line, but maybe even tougher, you have to make these shots while Gene Hackman is talking to you.
Yeah, that was. I guess that was my scene with Gene Hackman. I mean, I think everybody had a little moment with him, and that was my first one. And I just remember it was getting late in the day. The sun was starting to set. It was starting to get dark, and it was just starting to rain. And I've been sitting around all day watching some other people do their scenes, or they were filming other scenes with Hackman and Hopper and Barbara Hershey, and I kept thinking to myself, I just want this day to end and we can do this tomorrow, because I was just nervous about being out there with him. And then they set up the shots, said we're going to shoot it, and we literally did that in one take, because he did his speech, and they had a wide-angle camera from far away, and then he just started talking, and I just started shooting, and I wasn't even listening to a word he was saying. And then finally, and I think I don't think I missed a shot, let's put it that way. I mean, because they have the wide-angle take, and I didn't miss a shot. And then he stopped talking because he was done with his speech. And then I thought, okay, the scene's over. And then I end up missing the last shot.
Oh, you didn't think that was going to be in?
I did not. I had no idea. I thought the scene was done, and so I ended up missing that last shot, and that just kind of worked. So they kept that in there.
Yeah, because I watched it again yesterday. You hit 7 in a row, and then he finally is done. He's saying, "Yeah, I don't care if you play or not," and then
right.
It feels like the words sink in there, but you're saying you didn't hear anything he's saying. But when I'm watching it, I think he just got to Jimmy Chitwood, and then it affects you.
Yeah, I just heard him stop talking, and then I thought, okay, and then my concentration kind of just went away after that.
Here I'm giving you all this credit, Maris. I'm giving you boy, that's great acting. Hackman had to be impressed with that.
Well, I guess I should tell that story a little differently then, huh?
Did you want them to take that shot out?
No. I right when it happened, I thought, oh, that kind of worked, and so I was not unhappy with it at all. I just remember after that scene was done, the director and the writer came up to me and just were so jubilant at how it turned out. So I was very fortunate. I had a lot of good luck on that movie. Let's put it that way.
But also, I don't know if, you're not acting from the I guess the approach that we expect, and that is lines back and forth with Hackman. So your acting is really, I'm sort of listening to you, but I'm shooting hoops. You kind of invaded my world here, and
sure.
So I don't know how you're able to so-called act in a scene like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just about body language and how what place you're in, kind of, and the rest of it kind of takes care of itself, I think. I mean, I haven't talked about acting in so long, I almost forget how to do it. But, I mean, anything that works. It's like when in acting classes, when they say you're walking into a room, you got to know, before you walk into that room, you got to know where you've been, and then walk into the room, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of stuff I learned later on, but it was kind of intuitive to me when I was on the set.
Did you know about Gene Hackman's legacy?
Oh, sure.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. I mean, I knew, French Connection and all of that stuff. Yeah, definitely knew about all the things he had done.
And then it's one take?
That was one take, yeah. That was kind of amazing. But then obviously they shot the close-ups of him talking and me standing there. But that was all afterwards.
I loved just the cinematography with that everything felt gray. And it was just beautifully shot. And then here you're saying that rain is coming. Like, it added to sort of that feel of it.
I remember, I think the cinematographer guy's name was Fred Murphy, I think. I think he did an excellent job.
Well, you also had David Anspaugh, who did Rudy, who was that was his first feature film, I believe.
Hoosiers was Angelo Pizzo's first film and David's first film. David had done some directing for television. I think he did some episodes of Hill Street Blues and a couple of other things before that. But looking back, I mean, they were maybe 10 years older than us. I mean, they were in their early 30s when they first did this. They weren't too much older than us.
Did Hackman say anything to you after that scene?
Yeah, actually, he did. I think whenever he was with us or did a scene with us, he always said, "Oh, good job," or maybe if another take, he would say, "Try it this way," or something like that. So he was always very supportive of us. I can't say that about David and Angelo.
Why?
I found out a lot of this later on, that he just liked to stir the pot with them, and he likes to kind of cause controversy. It's almost like that's how he got his juices flowing,
So this is the director
and writer. I mean, I remember seeing not an altercation, but a standoff between the director and him. Gene Hackman was so upset at the director. He said something to the effect that this is going to be another Heaven's Gate with a bunch of people standing around doing nothing.
Wow.
Yeah. And so after that, I just happened to witness that. After that, the director came up to me maybe an hour later and said, "Hey, don't worry about that. Gene's a good guy, blah, blah, blah." And he tried to play it down. But I found out later that he did that a lot with them.
Well, I was told that Hackman always fought with his directors and writers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I definitely did it with Angelo and David.
When did you realize that this movie was going to be something? While you're shooting, when did you realize that maybe that you had something special here?
I don't know if I realized it then, because I had no idea how it was going to come out and how it was going to be put together. But David and Angelo just kept encouraging us to always, whenever we were playing basketball, to give it 110% and just make sure that you're not getting lazy about anything. And I think we all did that. And it was good advice because, he would say that, it's going to be captured on film forever. And so just put the effort in now. So I think I realized that it was going to stick around for a while, probably 5 years later. I was in California, and I think at the time I was still trying to act a little bit, maybe, at the time, but I was actually managing golf courses at the time. And so the LA Times sent down a reporter to talk to me, and I think because it was like the 5th year anniversary or something like that it came out. And at the time, I was still shocked that they still wanted to talk to me about it. But then I said to him, I said, maybe it'll be like The Wizard of Oz, and we'll be watching it 30 years from now. And it kind of proved to be true. So, at least for some people.
Take me to the town hall scene where they want to run Coach Normandale out of town.
Yeah. I think we were had been filming for a while at that point, so we'd done a lot of basketball scenes, and I think at that point I was a lot more comfortable being in front of a camera. I'll say this: I was pretty comfortable being in front of a camera, but whenever we would watch dailies, I wasn't comfortable seeing myself on film. Mm-hmm. That's something you really have to get used to, I think. But by that time, I was pretty comfortable. All I remember about that scene is I wanted to make sure I spoke loud enough so everybody could hear me when I was in the church. And then I always, the thing I remember most about it is Barbara Hershey wanted to have a little moment where that little hand thing where she puts her hand out, but I actually literally had no idea how to react to that, so I just kind of kept walking and kind of brushed her off a little bit, it seems like, when I see it now.
And you obviously remember your line.
I remember part of it. I play Coach Stays, He Goes, I Go.
Yeah.
And then also I started off with I got something to say. And I think that was about it.
Pretty powerful, though.
Turned out to be, I guess. Yeah.
You didn't feel it in the moment of?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, let's put it that way. You're up there, and all the focus is kind of on you, so you feel kind of powerful. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but they make you feel. I think that's one thing about being an actor. When it's your scene, they really make you feel. They want you to be confident, and they just make you feel very special. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I was wondering about the confidence, though, because it's one thing to say I want to be in a movie. It's another thing to be in a movie. It's another thing to be in a scene where Gene Hackman is there, an Academy Award winner, and then you're the focus of the scene. That's pretty big for a first time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the only thing I can relate to that is, and this is side note. I was sitting. I had a friend that played on the PGA Tour years and years ago, and he let me caddy for him in like 6 events or something like that. And one of them was at the Quad Cities, and we were sitting in a casino, and I had Davis Love and another golfer, and then 2 other guys sitting at the table, and the other 2 guys at the table wanted my autograph instead of Davis Love. And Davis he didn't get pissed, but he made a point about it. He said, well, that's the first time that's ever happened.
Well, was it more intimidating being around Hackman or Dennis Hopper?
I would say neither, to be honest with you. I mean, in the beginning, yes, both of them, yes. But Gene Hackman made us, like I said, by giving us the acting lessons, just hanging out with us on the set, inviting us into his trailer to play cards sometimes with Dennis Hopper. He made us feel very comfortable all the time. So I think he knew that it might be intimidating for us to be around him. So he always made us feel very comfortable.
So you're playing cards with Gene Hackman in his trailer with Dennis Hopper.
Yes. And the thing I remember about that is Dennis would always just stick his two fingers in the air like he did, and he would always say, "No wild games, man."
Did he tell any stories? Because
he did. He told stories about James Dean, and this is the one thing I regret about filming, that I did not keep like a daily diary just to write down a few things, like stories that he told about James Dean or stories, things that happened. I wish I would have done that.
yeah, you look back and you're in a moment there, and you don't want to ruin the moment by being one of those guys who's going to say, "Hey, tell me about, Easy Rider." Like, you're going to be asking questions like,
Right.
where you want to
Right.
be cool, but then there's part of you. I remember sitting down with Dan Aykroyd with Adam Sandler, and I couldn't wait to ask Aykroyd questions about the Blues Brothers and John Belushi and all of these different movies that he'd been in. And finally, Sandler goes, "Hey," he says to Aykroyd, "Hey, Danny, tell them all the stories. They want to know all the stories." And when I just exhaled, I went, "Good." And then he answered all of the questions. He said, "All right, come on, whatever you got, ask me." And we started asking all these questions.
Well, that's the funny thing, but I honestly think. So another story. Just about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, Billy Bob Thornton came into town because he plays in a band, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he knows David Anspaugh pretty well. So he knew David had directed Hoosiers, and apparently he's a huge fan of Hoosiers. Okay, so we went and saw his show, and then afterwards he invited us back to his trailer, and he did that exact thing to us, where he was asking me. It was me and Brad Long who were there, and he wanted to know everything. He wanted to know all the stories.
That's great.
But I think at some point I'll say it too, we like telling the stories. It brings back good memories. So they like telling the stories too. So I think most of them do.
Take me to the final basketball scene.
So it's at Hinkle, obviously, and they filled up pretty much half of the field house, and they were filming from one side, basically. So, and they would move the crowds around so that it looked full all the time. To fill up, I think Hinkle holds, I'm not even sure, maybe 12,000 or something like that. So that's a lot of people to fill up that are dressed in period clothing. But anyway, before the actual shooting of the final shot, I'm out there shooting around. I couldn't hit a thing. I'm a streaky shooter, but for me, every time I let go of the ball, it feels like it's going to go in, but this thing was just not going in. So I was doing something a little goofy. So Gene Hackman is telling the director, you need to move him up to the free throw line so he can make this damn thing. Otherwise, they're going to be here all day. But he stood up to him and said, "No, we're shooting it from that spot." And then right before we were about to shoot the scene, of all people, the casting director, who I don't think he'd played a lick of sports in his life, walked up to me and said, "Hey, you know what? You're not looking at the basket when you shoot." And I realized he was right. And so I didn't shoot anymore. And then we shot the scene, and I made it on the first take, and then we did one more take just in case something happened, and I made it on the second take. So it turned out pretty well.
The scene in the huddle.
Yes.
Take me into the huddle.
Oh, goodness. I just remember I did not know how to deliver that line. Let's put it that way. I had no idea. Should I be confident? Should I Should I just say it, or just? I had no idea how to deliver it, so I just looked him in the face, looked at all the other guys, and said, "I'll make it." But I didn't say it with any inflection or anything. I think I just said it.
There was no conviction.
No, not really. I mean, yeah, I think that's how it kind of came out.
I don't know if I would have given you the ball, Maris.
Well, so but I did make it. So I think, you always have that little doubt in your head, right? Tiny little bit.
Yeah, it made me, because you're kind of searching if you should. Well, I don't know what's in your mind, or what are you told that how you deliver that line is. You kind of look around and you're not quite sure if, hey, should I be saying this to the coach at this time?
Well, nobody told me to look around like that.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't given that direction. I just kind of did that, And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, okay, this character's kind of shy, you know what I mean? So, and he's not the most outgoing person. Doesn't say a lot of stuff, obviously. So to step up like that and say that to everybody was a big deal for him. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's almost like you're coming of age with your confidence in yourself.
Kinda. And what's funny is, now that you say that, from that point forward, whenever I played basketball, I don't care if I missed 10 shots in a row, I'm still taking the 11th shot, and I want to shoot it. So,
how was it, though, when you would play pickup basketball games after people realized that you were Jimmy Chitwood?
Oh, well, okay. Way back years ago, it was okay. I mean, I could still get my shot off pretty quickly, and I could shoot pretty good. Let's put it that way. Nowadays, I still play basketball, and I'm with some younger guys in their 20s and 30s, right?
Yeah.
And these guys guard me after I cross half court. It drives me crazy.
Your legend precedes you.
Well, I mean, if I'm left wide open, I can still make it, and I'll shoot from a little bit beyond the NBA line, right? So, what's funny is a new guy will come, and he'll be guarding me, but all the other guys that have played with me for a while will always say to the new guy, "Don't let him shoot." Drives me crazy.
Did you keep anything from the movie?
I had the old Converse basketball shoes. I think I had 2 pairs of those. I think I gave one of those pairs away to a charity for an auction. I had a uniform. I think I gave that away for an auction. And I still have my letter jacket.
Do you still have the script?
Then, you know what? I still have a script somewhere in a box somewhere. And then I also have a plaque that Gene Hackman gave all of us that just puts our line on there and commemorates our moment. Yeah.
Wait. So what's on your plaque?
It says Jimmy Chitwood, and then in quotes, "I'll make it," and then Hoosiers.
What was it like when you went to the premiere and saw it?
I didn't. I was in California. I had right after we got done filming, I drove out to California to get an agent and a manager, and because I had talked to Gene Hackman a little bit, and he said, "Yeah, you'll do work in California if you wanted to be an actor." So they had to premiere here in Indiana, and I was still in California. I didn't come to it.
So you missed your big moment on the screen with everybody there.
I did.
Did you go see it in California?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I definitely went and saw it in California.
Did anybody recognize you when you went in to see? No, they didn't.
I paid my $7 when we saw it in California.
I'm amazed that you did one take on the outdoor shot with Hackman, and then you did 2 takes on the game-winning jumper.
Yes, and they used the first take.
As you're proud to point out.
Yes.
I would have doubled you, though. I mean, I really got to question the defensive strategy here.
As far as?
I wouldn't have let you, I would have treated you like Jordan. I would have made sure that you gave up the ball there.
Yeah, well, that's what Bobby Plump actually really did. I mean, he stood out there. I don't know if you've seen the old film of that, of Milan, but that's what he actually did. He stood out there and held the ball for a while, and only one guy was guarding him. So,
what did Bobby Plump think of your role?
I think he enjoyed how it turned out. I mean, I think he liked it. I see him all the time, and let's put it this way: Bobby expresses himself. I mean, if we were on the phone right now, I would have said 2. If he was on the phone with us, I would have said 2 words, and he would have said all the other words.
Oh, so he probably wanted to play the role.
I think he might have. Yes, exactly.
How much acting did you do after Hoosiers?
Oh, let me see. I did a couple of TV pilot series and episodes of a TV series. One was called, a movie of the week was called Combat High with George Clooney was in it. This is before he was famous. And then it was like a TV movie of the week. You remember those?
Yeah.
So Richard Mole was in it. The guy from MASH, Klinger. I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Jamie Farr.
Farr, that's right.
Yeah.
And then Dana Hill. I don't know if you remember her, but then George Clooney was in it. So it was a silly military academy movie about Russians that come visit a military academy, and I was one of the Russians.
When did you give up on acting?
Let's see here. Probably, I don't even want to say this. Well, actually, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I did a role where I played Liberace's Scott Thorson, his gay lover.
Okay.
I don't remember that. Then after that, my auditions started kind of dropping off a little bit. I think my agent wasn't sending me out as much, and it had nothing to do with that. But it's just I'm just thinking the time frame. And then I just started playing a lot of golf, and I stopped kind of pursuing it. You know what I mean? And so I always tell people, from the time I was 20 to the time I was about 30, I was retired, except for the acting thing. And then after that, I had to get a real job.
How often do you get together with guys from Hoosiers?
Maybe, like Brad lives here in town. He played Buddy. So I probably see him the most, probably twice a year, maybe, something like that.
And Hackman's not acting anymore. We lost Dennis Hopper. Have you run into Barbara Hershey at all?
No, I haven't. I have no idea what she's up to. Nothing. No idea. I know.
Did she think that movie was going to be? I thought that she thought the movie was going to be about her. Is that a true story?
The way I like to put it is, she was basically the only main character female in there, except for Fern, I think was her name in the movie. But so she was at a disadvantage. Here we had the whole basketball team hang out together on the set. Who's she hanging out with, for her scenes? So she I don't know what she expected, but she was nice also. She was also very, very nice.
She was good, though, being protective of you. She was really good at that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Definitely. And we never really developed that any further or anything like that. So it's not like I hung out with her and felt protected by her behind camera. So we did chat, but not a whole lot.
You know what? When you think of the backstory to it, that you have no acting experience and you're in there with, 3 Hollywood stars, a couple of legends in there, and you hold your own. I think you realized, with me watching, that you knew what you could and couldn't do. And it felt like you played it safe in the lines there, and it comes off authentic because of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, and I think what they did, their casting was pretty good, if you ask me, as far as each one of the basketball players, because they kind of picked your personality, so that kind of worked out. So I just really had to be kind of myself. I had to emote a little bit with, body language or being in a certain situation if I was hiding or something like that and trying to keep from being seen, that kind of stuff. But other than that, you were pretty much being yourself.
Could Ollie play?
He was pretty decent, yeah. I'll say this. David always tells the story that Ollie was one of the best athletes on the team. That is not true. Not true. He was good. But he was definitely not one of the best. Scott Summers was probably the best athlete on the team. He played the preacher's son.
Yes.
But he could jump out of his shoes and dunk and 2 hands and all that stuff easily. Whereas if I could get 1 out of 10 dunks with 1 hand, I was very fortunate. Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite story that you always tell from Hoosiers?
Oh, probably the casting story. I would think maybe, just because I look back and how fortunate I was that I did not turn around and I waited that extra 30 seconds before I turned around and walked back out the door. So, if I don't do that, then none of this happens, and who knows what my life would be like.
It's great to talk to you again, Maris. I hope you're doing well there, and I appreciate you letting me open the scrapbook.
Dan, anytime. You are one of my favorite persons.
Thank you, bud. Maybe we'll get you in the man cave here one time in Connecticut if you come up here.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I got my basketball hoop here, and, the Danettes would love to see your game on display there. So maybe, and I won't tell anybody about guarding you, picking you up at half court. I'll let you put on a display.
You let me shoot. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you for joining us, Maris.
All right, Dan. Thanks for having me.
All right.